We are honored, blessed, etc. We have amazing talent back in the room. We have Mr. Sean Jefferson, who's on his way to graduate school. He's one of our stellar SNHU Global graduates coming up, finishing brick and mortar. Here we go. And he's going to be talking about some great educational assets and how you should be thinking and your approach to your classwork, etc. He's extremely inventive and innovative. So all of you students out there, as your favorite associate dean, Dr. Jeff Sarnik here at SNU Global, Department of Criminal Justice, I'm wagging my finger at you to make sure you really pay attention and listen to what he has to say. And if you miss it, this is a recording. You can always listen to it again. And this is also good for instructors too to pay attention to, because these are words of wisdom, pearls of wisdom that you can apply. So without further ado, Mr. Sean Jefferson, I had the pleasure of working with him in the recent capstone course that I facilitated, and I learned so much, as I always do, from Mr. Jefferson, and I think you will too. So without further ado, Sean, kick it off.
Yes, thank you so much. I really am excited about this opportunity to be on this podcast and to be talking to you again. So, in the last session, we were talking about uh, school safety and how it relates to Homeland Security, and that was what I gained my degree in. Was my degree was in Homeland Security, counterterrorism. That was my focus. And in this session, we kind of want to tie my undergrad studies with the tactics and techniques and tools that I used to get my undergrad, and then those same tools that we're going to use for my master's degree in counterterrorism. And then we're going to discuss a little bit about something called intrapreneurship, which is INTRA, in within being an entrepreneur within a university, like you and like yourself and I did, and Professor Southard, who is my subject matter expert for my capstone project, which was in regard to school security. So the gist of this session is that you want to take your educational background, you want to take your work background, you want to take your history, your personal history, and use that to become an entrepreneur as you're getting your education, and then as you continue your education, also once you join an agency, or even once you're within an agency. So the whole idea is to become an entrepreneur, but use the criminal justice, the science, and the scientific aspect of your criminal justice degree to carve out your own path while you're utilizing your educational and your background. So, what you should want to do with your undergrad, heading towards either a career in criminal justice or towards further education in criminal justice, is seek to educate your educators from your own perspective, which is what we did during our capstone course.
Right.
So, my subject matter expert was former special forces and still a volunteer at the Colorado Sheriff's Department. So he wanted me to take initiative and find innovative things that were going on in regard to school and church security. So what you want to do is educate your educators, work with them, partner with them, um, and use your background to engage in this entrepreneurship. So, for example, real quick, what is entrepreneurship? So, if we look at, say, your work for a small law enforcement department and they
All right.
have one K9 officer. So, you could, an example of entrepreneurship would be converting K9 officers over to remote viewing scouts using wireless body cams. And then their handlers, officers or their handlers, could use smart glasses or their smartphones as real-time monitors. And then you could use, they could fund the program through something like crowdfunding. So how would this relate to school security or school safety? Well, a canine unit, a canine officer
Right.
can sweep entire buildings or floors, let's say floors, very quickly. And then the officers who are their handlers could review what's going on with their smart glasses or with their monitors, and actually sweep entire floors, rooms, entire schools very quickly, much faster and safer than a law enforcement officer can. But that feed from that canine unit could be fed back to the truck or to the officers themselves, so they know, okay, we've got some kids held up here in a closet. Let's go get them first. And we have
Right.
the shooter down over here. We can avoid that area, so on and so forth. So that's an example of taking initiative and becoming an entrepreneur within a small organization that maybe couldn't afford to, or wouldn't be thinking towards something that you see, for example, Navy SEALs doing. They have their canine units that travel with the SEALs, and they use them as advanced remote scouts, putting a camera on the dog, and the dog sweeps entire rooms, floors very quickly and safely, and then feeds the signal back to them. So that's an example of entrepreneurship. And then my second point was that I first started college back in 1984, and then I had a lot of issues with stress and pressure, and
Right.
I didn't have the tools at that time available to help me get through. So I had horrible test anxiety, and so I would sometimes blow courses that, like music appreciation. I would get like a C minus or a D in music appreciation just because there was a presentation, and I would panic.
Ah,
So I
okay.
couldn't get through a course. I would get a bad grade in a course that everyone else is maybe getting a B, C, a B or an A in, because they didn't have that anxiety. So when I went back to school in 2019 with SNHU, I had to find some tools, develop some tools to deal with that stress and that test anxiety, and then also came up with a way to reduce burnout. So what I actually did was, this is my second bullet point. What I did was I actually asked my advisors, my student advisors, to alternate my courses, alternate between law courses and counterterrorism courses
Right.
for that entire period when I went to SNHU. So I would take a law course, and then finish that course and start a counterterrorism course, and then flip flop. So what would happen is, rather than me bulking up on all my law courses, getting those out of the way, and then doing my counterterrorism courses towards the end of my SNHU
Right. Right.
career, it kept me fresh. It became more like cross training rather than just trying to get through the program.
Right.
And I thought that really helped,
That's
because
a great
when I got
strategy.
to
That's yeah.
my
Right.
last law course before I did my capstone course with you, Dr. C, I
Right.
was fresh for capstone, because I just wrapped up my last law course, and I was all happy about that. So I kind of graduated from that aspect of the program, and then I entered into capstone fresh and ready to go. So I was working with you and working with my subject matter expert, Professor Southard. I was energetic, and I was more willing to play the role of an entrepreneur with you guys. So so that was one of the tricks, was alternating courses, mixing up courses, mixing matches rather than bulking them together. And then the other thing did was I had to research and develop ways to defeat course anxiety. One of those things was to use the SNHU Writing Center, but then I supplemented the Writing Center by getting tools like Grammarly software.
Okay.
So I would actually use that as a filter. So I would write my papers in Grammarly, or write my papers using Grammarly. I let it clean up a lot of my language, a lot of the spelling, all that stuff, and then I'd bounce them off of you or one of the professors like Professor Stothard, or bounce them off the Writing Center. And then that way they could focus on the quality of my content rather than the quality of my writing.
Then
So
the
rather than
logistics.
spell
Yeah. Right.
checking and saying,
Right.
"Oh, dude,
That's a blessing.
watch
Thank you for doing.
references," all that kind of stuff. So I
Yeah.
use tools like Grammarly, and I learned to do this back in 2019 when I started back to school. I use tools like Grammarly to clean up and take a lot of the stress off of my plate in regard to writing. So I could basically just write a paper and just write what's on my mind. And then when I was done with it, I would let Grammarly go through and check my grammar, my logic, and all that jazz. And then when I hand it to you for review, or one of the professors for review, they had something that was nice and clean and easy to read and easy to follow. And then they could focus on saying, okay, well, I really want this from you on this paper, or I really want this for you for the project.
That's a great approach.
Let's see. So, okay, so I was going to say that I really want to encourage other students to treat their college education like an Olympic sport, and treat your professors like coaches, which is really exactly what I did with Dr. C, with you, right? I kept
Yeah.
saying, you remind me so much of Coach K. You're my Coach K. You're not only going to get me through this, you're going to
Right.
get me through You're going to get me into grad school. You're going to get me through. What I'm learning from you is going to help me get through the different phases of my educational life. So I, like I said, so I treat you more like a professional coach than just a professor. And that's one of the things I really encourage other students to do, though, is to get feedback and use feedback, use positive visualization, just like coaches and athletes, professional athletes do. Become a professional athlete in your college education. And then another thing was educate yourself, or be educated from your perspective.
Okay.
So
Right.
instead of looking at your age or your background as hampering you. For example, I came from, and I still work in information technology, right? But I'm coming from the information technology field into law enforcement and counterterrorism. So I'm dealing with people who are ex-special forces and ex-SWAT, literally professors who are ex-SWAT, so on and so forth, like Dr. C, 22 years veteran of law enforcement, the police force. And I don't have their background. But what I do have is this really strong grasp of information technology, how to share information, how to create information, and then the technology necessary to pass information back and forth. So, and that's, again, when we talk about intrapreneurship, if you take your background in marketing and then you join a small agency, you can use that information marketing to help that agency do fundraising, do crowdsourcing, and create marketing plans, and all the things that they don't learn in their academies that you're an expert in your field. You can bring that to the table, and then through intrapreneurship, you can help them to develop things that other small agencies just couldn't do, because they can't afford a $60,000, $70,000 a year marketing person, but they can afford you as a member of the agency or the police force to bring your expertise and your experience into new endeavors and to things they would normally be able to do themselves.
Excellent.
So a lot of what I did, again, to reduce my stress was I would study the bios. Every professor, including Dr. C, puts up their bio at the beginning of the course.
Great
Study their
recommendation.
bio.
Great.
Study their bio. Do a little intel on your professor so that
Yeah.
you can partner with them. And the same way the professional athletes do a little bit of Q&A and interviewing with their coaches. And
Right.
they know the background of that individual, and that way they know how to best utilize that person to get to get through the training.
I can't emphasize that, and I'll be honest with you, Sean, not to cut you off, because the faculty that I work with and for at SNU, I mean, are just their credentials are incredible. They have
Oh
so
my
much
gosh,
to
yeah.
offer, and not to take advantage, not to know who they are and take advantage of that, which they want to give. You know, they're trying to give back. Their experience is just mind-boggling, and they love helping. So, thanks for making that point to read the bios. Thank you for that.
And I actually did that. So I had one of my professors was in SWAT and a SWAT instructor. So I actually
Right.
wrote one of my research papers for his course from a SWAT perspective, and the research was in regard to creating new like special operations units. They have a medic, they may have a tech person, they may have a sniper, so on and so forth. I said, well, why don't you look into programs where SWATs or special forces units have a dedicated drone pilot, someone who is a drone scout,
Right.
who can check a building across the several blocks away, check a building across the way for to basically be a counter sniper or a scout or a spotter using a drone. So you could develop a program, maybe get professional drone pilots to come in and be instructors for a member of SWAT, train that person train that person in how to become an expert drone pilot, and then you create a new position within SWAT. So you have to have a medic, you have to have a sniper, so on and so forth. So now you would have a drone person. So anyway, I wrote up this whole research paper specifically for my professor who is in SWAT and a SWAT instructor. So he appreciated that. So basically, I wrote to him And
Right.
again, as an entrepreneur within the university, as an entrepreneur, I was trying to educate my educator.
Right.
So not just write a paper that I thought would please him, but write a paper that would inform and educate him and get him thinking about ways to to uh, to again play the long game, develop new concepts within the organization he's already in. Uh,
Great
I think
approach. Great approach.
my last 2 points. Okay, so my fifth point is really important. I found that scheduled rest periods, patience, and pace were cornerstones in adopting that athletic marathoners mentality to
Right.
my higher education. So periods of rest meaning that I would, and I found this within my professors' bios where they would say, I work 6 days a week through Saturday, and then I take Sundays off or I take Saturdays off. And I encourage you to do the same. So I took that to heart and actually started doing it. So I would work 6 days a week. I work Monday through Friday, work in IT, and then I do 2 hours of SNHU homework, an hour in the morning, hour in the evening, and then on Saturday I would do anywhere from 3 to 4 hours of work, and then that's it.
Right.
If I wasn't going to meet a deadline, whatever. If it's going to cause an issue, but I would strictly stay to I would stay strict to my scheduled rest periods.
Right.
So I'd have
Right.
basically all of Sunday off and then a half day Saturday. And then I would find that when I did that, again taking my lead from my professors, when I did that, when I come back to schoolwork and my regular job on Monday morning, I was in fact fresh. I could focus better. I could perform better on my papers. I could perform better in quizzes, so on and so forth. Um, and again, that's something you see with professional athletes and their coaches, where they do schedule rest time and
Yes.
time with family, time away from the sport, wherever the sport is. Um, and that's critical. So rest periods became one of the critical factors in not only performing well while I was at SNHU, but also during my capstone course. So to stay fresh, I would sometimes work ahead so that I could maintain my rest period half day Saturday and Sunday. So if I had to do a little extra work on say a Thursday or Friday, so that I could maintain that period of time off on Saturday afternoon and Sunday, I would do
Hmm.
that. That it worked really really well for me. So it was one of the cornerstones to getting through my SNHU career, if you will.
Yes, that advice is worth its weight in gold because you're talking about the allocation of energy and preserving that energy you need cerebrally. A lot of people say, I'm bad at time management. And it's not that. They're just bad at preserving that energy that they need to deploy at the right time instead of trying to do a paper at midnight, et cetera, or whatever. So that, that is probably one of the biggest challenges for students is just not having a strategy to manage that energy so they can reward themselves with some downtime, and give their mind a rest. So but you hit that right on the head. That is one of the biggest issues that we encounter.
And that was something I actually picked up from Roger Federer's career. At the end of his career,
Oh,
he'd gone
okay.
7 years without winning a Grand Slam. His coaches, his advisors got with him and they said, no, Roger, you're going to have to start skipping the smaller tournaments and just focusing on the Grand Slam events. You're going to have to rest. You have to spend time with your family. You have to spend time doing working with your charity. You got to get off the tennis court. After he did that, after he listened to his advisors, just like I listened to you and my professors, after he did that and started doing scheduled rest time and having extra time, he won 3 Grand Slams at
Right,
the end of his career when others were retiring.
right, right,
So
right,
I
right,
actually
right,
that's where I got that concept from. So
right.
I looked at the end of Roger Federer's career and I said, well, then I have to do like my professors say, I have to take time away from anything. Don't touch the computer from Saturday afternoon. Go out and go on a hike, whatever. Go to a movie, but don't touch a computer. Don't touch your schoolwork. Don't touch any IT work. But that's where that came from. So I I I patterned my college career after Roger Federer's tennis career.
An
So again,
athletic
you have to have
approach.
that
Right,
marathoner mentality. If you
right.
don't keep loading your tank, the other guys who've been behind you the entire length of the marathon, you get to that final stretch, they're passing you up. and you lose the race. Same thing in college.
That's a great analogy. That is phenomenal because I know I've been in those situations where I have burnt myself out. If you don't check up on that, yeah, everybody just passes you by, even though, yeah, you were ahead maybe three quarters of the race. That's so true. Oh my goodness, yes, yes. Words of wisdom at the very least.
And then my final point is in regard to educate with purpose. So use your demographic background. If you're a female going into becoming a counter terrorist, and
Hmm.
there aren't any females represented in the
Right.
agency you're going into. Again, take that initiative to become an entrepreneur. Demographics matter, not counting against you, but counting for you. So if you want to see yourself represented in an industry or in a subculture or within an agency, you have to gain this educational background that you're getting from SNHU. You have to use that background as a tool. And
Yes.
by educate with purpose, you have to take the courses that you know you're going to need. Um, Based upon what your vision for yourself is going to be once you join an agency or once you join an organization, or even if you stay at the university level and you're teaching, you have to take the courses that mean the most to you and also relate to your background. Otherwise, you're expending energy and expending time that really does you no good. So think of yourself as an ambassador coming from whatever background uh, coming from at the age you're coming in. Like in my case, I came back in my higher education at age 53,
Hmm.
52, 53. So take all that, use that, package it up, and become an entrepreneur and become a representative, and then take it upon yourself to become, if you're not the first joining an organization or working your way into a new field, be the first of a new kind of first. So be an innovator, and not only be an innovator, be an innovator by, again, being a teacher to your teachers. So don't just play for the
Right.
game, play for the long game, and partner with your professors, partner with your dean, your associate dean, partner with your advisors, like I did in scheduling law course, then counterterrorism course, back and forth. Um, Utilize those around you in an innovative way, and those are the real strong keys, the six keys that I focused on uh, uh, during my SNHU career, and I'll be taking those into grad school with me.
It was gonna. I got to patent this. If you don't mind, I'll share the patent with you. And I mean that in all sincerity because what I'm drawing, what I drew from what you just said in an encapsulated say phrase would be you made learning fun for yourself. You created a game. You trained your mind to be interested. You trained your mind not to be resistant. There are lots and lots of books on learning. One of them is please don't make me learn. Don't right. That's what literally it's a bestseller. Don't make me learn. Right. So, and we unfortunately, I think what happens and what you reflected on your approach and strategy should be taught in kindergarten because right when you think back to the traditional learning experience where you're sitting all in rows and you are basically an empty vessel and teachers are just putting content in there and they're assessing whether you picked it up or not, whether you were allocating attention or it caught your attention. And then now when you're going into higher education, it really rests upon your shoulders. It really does. And being hyper dependent upon instructors and everyone else for your what you should be doing with your own mind, all these say athleticism, all these strategies, like a warrior mentality, you have to take ownership of it,
Right.
and that's the hallmark of an independent learner with great what they call locus of control. You probably heard that, where basically you're responsible, no one else is for you. And so what you said really
And any
bolsters.
great coach will tell you that. Every
Yes,
great coach in
yes,
history, whether it be
yes,
Bill
yes.
Parcells or
Yeah. Right.
Belichick or
Yeah.
Tomlin in Pittsburgh. Any
Right.
great coach will tell you that.
Yeah. That's the bottom line. And it's a transformation for students to have to get to that. But once you get there, then they can become just like you, satisfied, happy, on the path of success, graduate school, tremendous amount of background and information, you know. And one of the other things I caught too is that you said, yes, bring your experiences, your schema, your positive ones. Not everyone comes from all negativity, but bring those positive experiences, your wisdom to the classroom and teach. Because when I teach, and I know you will, and I hope you do, is I learn every time I teach. Every time I teach, I learn and I learn. And I'm only as good as the students who want to be engaged like you and manage that warrior athlete mentality to become successful and take no prisoners in the classroom. Just no, this is mine. I'm taking it and I'm going to use it. And thank you. So all those things you said are. I'm going to tell everybody you need to listen to this man. You need to listen to this video more than once and incorporate what he's done and what he's doing. All right. And I don't want to hear any excuses about how old you are. Okay. Just like, because you and I are cut from the same cloth. I didn't finish my doctorate until I was 52. And truth be told, I was going through a very difficult divorce at the time. I was working 3 jobs, and I said, I cannot quit. Because if I quit, who am I quitting on? No one else but me. And I had people depending upon me too. So, what you do also, what I found, what you're doing is not is is modeling great behavior. It's just, I wish I could bottle it and sell it, you know. So it's just great stuff. I mean, I'm so excited. This was great. It just completely charges me up when I hear this. It's so reinvigorating for someone who's been in academia as long as I have, you know, really. So please, everyone, listen to this. Teachers too, instructors, guides, facilitators, all these things you have to bring to the table. I know one thing I'll tell you right now, Sean. If the students do what you did, the teachers are going to be ecstatic because it's so frustrating for an instructor, who encounters a student whom you desperately want to help, but they don't want to help themselves. They don't
Right.
want to deploy. They don't want to take that extra step because they're in fear. Don't make me learn, or whatever. They're not deploying the right strategies to build the business of themselves. Build the business of you. It's funny. I do a lot of mentoring, and for other professionals. And what I tell them is, regardless of where you are, what you're doing for work, and what title or label you have, the best business you could be working for is yourself. You are, John or Mary Smith, Inc. Okay. So while you are working and toiling to make someone else look good, et cetera,
Right.
in the interim, you are your own corporation. So what do you need to do to make yourself marketable? What do you need to do to make sure that your doors don't close? What do you need to do to what you said? Innovate. Well, pay attention to what Mr. Jefferson said. Innovation, continuity. I'm going to shut up. I'm sorry. I'm just this is just triggered so much stuff. How about some let's call it some closing arguments here, Your Honor, um, to reinforce what you just said, all the great wisdom you shared.
Well, yeah, I mean, the whole reason I wrote up these 6 bullet points and then went over them as briefly as I could was that in our first session, we were talking about school and church security and how we focused on that for my portion of the capstone course, and how basically you and Professor Southard, my subject matter expert, taught me, trained me in how to become a subject matter expert and how to communicate and how to use criminological theory and how to apply theory and quantitative versus qualitative analysis, and how to present research and how to condense information and not fall down a rabbit hole. You would say that several times during our capstone. Please, kids, don't fall down a rabbit hole,
Yeah,
because you will
right.
never, six
You'll
grades
never
from
come
now, you,
back.
you still won't be out of it. I'll just have to give you an incomplete, and you'll have to keep going until you finish the job, which is great because again, that's what this is all about. Your SNHU instructors are not just professors; they are former special forces.
Right.
They're current Homeland Security. They're former police officers. They know, they've lived through uh, uh, having to be advisors to schools that have had incidents, churches that have had incidents. So they bring with them not just their background, their educational background with masters and PhDs, but they bring with them their experiences. So you have to become a sponge. You have to almost become a clone of that professor during your course with them, and have in your head that this is the last time you're ever going to take this particular course in your college career. So if it's a law course and it's being taught by someone who's a lawyer in two different states, that's an opportunity.
Right.
And if you don't clone yourself and become a clone of that individual and mirror them and their career and their background, then you're missing out on an incredible opportunity,
Right.
because you're never going to see that person again. Or chances are you're never going to see that person again. You're not going to have this. So when you're taking that last law course or second last law course as an undergrad, you're probably not going to see that if you go on to, like I am, going on to grad school for counterterrorism.
Right.
We set the law portion aside and we focus strictly on counterterrorism pursuits. So you kind of have to embrace that and say, when you're in that week 5 going into week 6 of the course, 8-week course, and you're just tired and you've had enough and you just feel like it's just sucking the life out of you, just remind yourself, encourage yourself, this is the last time I'm probably going to see this professor in this material, or this professor in regard to this particular material. So let me make the most of it, because I know I'm going to need it. And especially if I'm going to be an innovator and a researcher within my organization, I've got to hold this information with me and close to my vest, because I'm playing the long game. I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I'm going to not only educate my educators, but when I join an agency, I'm going to educate those above me, those who are on boards of directors or boards of review. I'm going to become their educators as well. So by mastering the courses, by mastering the material, you set yourself up to be able to educate others as you go through your career and through your journey.
The only thing I can say is just add an exclamation point to that, Sean. This was fantastic. And I am probably going to bug you for part 3. Okay? Because yeah, this is an oil well of wisdom that is just being tapped. So again, thank you everyone for listening to this on more than one occasion. Okay. And really, and in all seriousness, though, thank you for this, Sean, because these are, students can identify with you a lot quicker than they can identify with me. I'm teaching and blah, 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 blah. They say, oh, that's how Sean did it. Okay. And I think, if you want to fly like an eagle, be an eagle. So with that said, I'm going to stop recording and thank you profusely once again on behalf of Southern Hampshire University Global, the 10,000 criminal justice students we do have who will be seeing this in their classrooms as well, and the 400 and some odd faculty members who will be privy to this great information, advice, and counsel and strategy. So thanks again, Sean. Have a great evening. We will talk soon. And once again, congratulations on your acceptance to graduate school. You will be phenomenal. So this is not the last you're going to hear from Mr. Jefferson. I'm just letting you know. Okay.
Thank
So
you. I owe a lot of it to you guys. I owe all to my professors and to the associate deans and my advisors. They all played the game with me.
we're on the same team. That's the bottom
Yeah.
line.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again, Sean. Have a great night. And as soon as this is posted and deployed, I will let you know right away.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Have a great night. Thank you, sir.